Okay, hello YouTube. I'm just going to wait now for TikTok to turn up. YouTube doesn't always go live when I say go live, so I have to get this set up first because my big audience is on TikTok, so I don't want to keep them waiting. If anyone comes on YouTube, you're usually from TikTok, so you know the drill. I do these every day, so people are pretty used to them by now. Hello. Gee, I don't recognize that name. M. Hi, M. While we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. Corey Berriman. Have you been here before? Sounds kind of familiar. Liam Spar, that doesn't sound familiar. Bain Alsate, doesn't sound familiar. Hello, Arkansas. Hi, Ashley. I love a Southern accent. I hear some people don't like a Southern accent. I thought everyone loved a Southern accent. I think they're really neat. But I've heard some people don't like Southern accents. I thought, I didn't know that. I just heard that recently. Oh no, I don't like a Southern accent. Really? I thought everyone did. To each his own, eh? I love them. Okay, Sacramento, California. Hello, I've been there. I actually had a t-shirt from Sacramento for years and years and years. I wore that thing till it turned into Sacra. The mento fell off. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'd love to know where people are from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Gorgeous sunny day. I haven't been out at all today. I do my morning routine and I do my walk. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. I'd like to get 15 to 20,000 steps a day, and I haven't even done 10 yet, so I'll be out later on. I'm here in Vancouver, but I also lived in Australia for 20 years, so I feel Australian too. My kids were born and raised there. Hi, Michigan. What's in Michigan? Is Michigan a state? Blank. Can't figure it out. Michigan. I'm gonna look that up. It's gonna hit me, and I'm gonna go, oh, right. Michigan. Oh, Detroit. Jeez. Right. Okay. I was thinking, what city is there? Detroit, Michigan. Silly me. Okay. Landing, Detroit. Right. Cleveland, Ohio. Hello. I know pretty much all the states now. I know a whole bunch of cities in the US now that I'd never even heard of before. Because I look it up. So Michigan is a state. I know, I looked that. I knew that. You know how you know something? You go, I know this. Why don't I know it? Cleveland, Ohio. Landing, Detroit. Is that Lansing? Lansing? Oh, North Georgia. Hi, North Georgia. Thank you for just telling me to try and be a calm, consistent leader. Yeah, that's everything. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant about something in a minute. Someone said, I love your parenting, but you know exactly what I go on rants about, but God, it comes up all the time. Oh, I just want to figure out how to get it across really effectively. I don't know why I'm talking like I'm Italian. I don't know how to get this across really effectively. I'm working on it. Okay, so let's get going. We've got 56 people. It's a weird time for me to be on. Most people are having dinner or getting kids to bed right about now. So anyway, that's fine. But summer holidays, right? I don't know where you are. You might just be sitting on a beach somewhere just watching TikTok right now. So anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's bratbusters.com. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. That's on my homepage. It teaches you how to give respect to get it because you're on there too. I love your lives. What time is it? It's exactly 4 o'clock here in Vancouver. I got to get out there and get stuff done. So like I got to get to the gym and everything. I've just been sitting here all day doing admin work mostly. I hate doing admin work. It's no fun. I love this. So I'm rewarding myself with a live. You know, I love doing these. Okay, what I wanted to go on how can I buy my coaching? Go on my website, bratbusters.com. It's all pinned. It's all at the top. It's on my bio. Anyway, my courses are in there too. So anyway, my rant was, someone just said, I just did a video on it, and I thought I could feel a rant coming on. I was answering a question in one of the comments, and it said, how is ignoring a tantrum teaching them to work through it? So I already answered it, but I'm going to go on about this again here. Kids really, especially toddlers, this is for toddler tantrums, they're not working through stuff. They're they're very quick little processors. It's more like that. They are the most effective way to communicate and teach them to process a tantrum is to completely ignore it because children go towards the light. What I mean by this is they go toward what works and they avoid what doesn't. So an attention is feeding a tantrum and discussing it is also feed. It gives it a lot of weight. Even discussing it afterwards is still giving it a lot of weight. You don't want to give it any weight whatsoever. They tend to avoid the darkness and head toward the light. It's just a natural instinct. They go toward what works. That's the whole theory I work on with this. So you completely ignore the tantrums. They will eventually just go, you know what, this ain't working. They're not going to think it through. There's no working through but they'll eventually just say, you know, this isn't working for me. I just stop having it. You don't have to discuss that with them. They'll process that on their own. You are exhibiting, you're modeling, excuse me, calm behavior by staying on the high road and completely ignoring the tantrum. As soon as they're done, oh, you all done? You want to go to the park? You don't discuss it. It's so negative. It's dragging them through the mud. Anyway, I don't like that. That's the mini therapy session stuff. You know, God, I hate that stuff. Because it's so trendy and it's my nemesis constantly and every single day. It's my nemesis in my business. Is, well, don't we have to work through and validate all their feelings? No, no, you don't. Okay. Okay, Megan, was there a first part to your question? Oh, I'm a gymnastics coach. Oh, I don't teach that. I only teach parenting. So I can't answer that. Like I wouldn't know how to be a gymnastics coach. I wouldn't have a clue. I teach parent-child relationships. That's all I teach. And a lot of people hire me pretending they have kids, and I know they don't because they'll tell me afterwards they've hired me to help with their classroom or their. So it's quite funny, actually. I'm getting good at figuring that out by now, but yeah. So I literally do not teach anything but parent-child relationships. I stay in my lane. Where can I download my behavior board's on my website. It's on my homepage. It's completely free. Nothing else is, but that's completely free. And it's where you kind of want to start, see how that goes. Yeah. Just read the question. It's very similar to parenting. I really need help. Oh, how to address bullying of your child. You know, that's a tough one for me because I do talk about bullying. But you know, if I can't get access to the bully's parents, there's not much I can do. You got to stop the source is the bully. How do you stop the source? It's like stopping a bullet once it's left a gun. The source is if you can't get to the gun, the shooter, how are you going to stop? It's like that. It's just, it's kind of hard. You got to get to the source of the bullying. But I'll tell you, if it's physical bullying, that's the responsibility of adults. I would never teach a child to defend himself physically because the bullies are not always sissies. They will not always run and cry. They will often fight back harder and they're often more experienced with fighting. So I never recommend you teach a child to physically fight back ever. It's up to adults, teachers, school, whatever, to deal with the physical bullying. By the way, if those kids are not on school grounds, it's not the teacher's territory. It's not the school's territory. They're legally not allowed to go off the school grounds and deal with kids. So don't expect everything to be in the school's hands. But a lot of parents complain about that. Well, it was at the bus stop and the kids were fighting, and that teachers, their hands are kind of tied. Once your kids are off school grounds, that's not their jurisdiction. I know that every state, every province is probably a little bit different, but generally that's the source is the parents of the bully. Anyway, here's what I did when I was in grade 2. Someone ever tried to bully me once, really, in my whole life, really. I guess I've come across bullies, but they've never been able to bully me. Anyway, I was in grade 2 and I'd gone to the bathroom in the middle of class. And it was really exciting. You're in the hallway all by yourself. Like I'd never seen that before, an empty hallway. And then I'm coming back from the bathroom and the school bully he's grade 5. He's coming toward me, big, scary looking kid. And he was licking his chops when he saw me, right? And I'm like, oh my God. And I had to pass him to get to my classroom. So he comes right up in my face. And my maiden name was Hanky. And he comes up and he goes, Hanky Panky. And I said to him, I was grade 2, and I said, I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle. Oh, well, got to get back to class. And he looked like this and never came near me again. So what I had done was I'd actually agreed with him, lightened the mood, made it funny, and then I deferred. I deterred. I had an out, right? So because if I just stood there, he would have come at me again. Anyway, I don't know how I knew how to do that, but then I figured I look back on that, and that's exactly what I teach now. You agree with the bully, make light of it. And if they call you ugly or stupid, yeah, the whole family's ugly and stupid. It runs in the genes. It's the DNA. Ha ha ha. Anyway, what are you having for lunch? You've got to change the subject really quickly in a positive way. That's how I teach children. I do it with role playing. If they haven't role played it out and actually said it with you, playing it out, it's very hard for them to do it when they're in front of the bully. So the more you role play this kind of stuff with them at home, the more likely they are to be able to handle themselves when they're actually faced with a bully. So, but if it's physical, that's up to adults. Yeah, I used to do a lot of different things in my business. I started my business and I was doing crisis work with teenagers because that's my specialty is teen crisis stuff. So then I went into all sorts of crisis stuff, severe abuse, all sorts of types of abuse with all ages. So I did a lot of crisis work. And one of the things that I used to do is I used to mediate between the schools and the parents with bullying. And yeah, that was not something, I look back on that, not in a fond way. It was, and I always said to my client, I always said, never say the word bully. You know, they always did. Always said the word bully. And I said, you can't do that. I said, that just gets the defenses up and it's just going to be war between you and the other parent. Because the other parent already knows their kid is a bully. They don't want to hear it. Okay. They're very defensive about it. That's why the kid is still a problem because they don't know how to deal with it. So hopefully, luckily, sometimes they will hire me too. Because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not on my client's side. I want to fix the situation. But yeah, I don't look back on that fondly. It is a very tricky situation. Very tricky. Yeah, this one, yeah, it's a good trick. My 1-year-old started tantrums and used your methods, reading a book out loud, work like a charm. I'm thrilled to hear that. Actually, I'm gonna do a video on that. Toddler tantrums, read a book out loud. And I'll explain what that is for people who haven't seen me talk about this. So when the kids are really little, I would say you completely ignore tantrums. But when they're really little, like a 1-year-old or an 18-month-old in that range, they're kind of, they're still kind of babies. So here's what I do. I kind of ignore it if they're going to get over it on their own, but they're not always going to get over it on their own that easily. So what I will do is I will take one of their books and I'll go off to the side, like on a couch or something, and I'll just all by myself. Do not look at them. You'll just be reading the book out loud. Oh, and then the fox went over there, and then the fox. Wow, and then he did that. Oh, like you're completely engaged in the book. Next thing you know, they'll come over and sit in your lap and you're reading together. Do not discuss that tantrum. It's total waste of time, and I think it's mean. I think it's cruel. It's humiliating. Don't discuss tantrums. It's right up there with timeout. I hate timeout. I got a heart in my head. It's right up there to me with timeout. Hate timeout. I think it's humiliating and mean. I think discussing tantrums is humiliating and mean. They already know they were a fool when they did it. They don't need to hear about it. They get it. It's another video. Discussing tantrums is humiliating. You don't want me to go on about that, do you? You know I could go on about that. I'll just let that one slide. So I keep moving. My back's really been bugging me lately. I've been sitting in my chair too long today. Yeah, I'm trying to manage my 1 and 2-year-old and being pregnant. So you've got a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and you're pregnant. Here's my best advice to you is just see this as a temporary thing. Once your 2-year-old is 3, life should be getting easier. Then your 2-year-old, then your 1-year-old will be 3. And yeah, you're just going to have to suffer through it. Childproof the house as much as possible to make your life as easy as possible. But yeah, it's just going to be physically demanding time for you. I can't help you through that. Like it's just very physically demanding time for you. And but then you'll have all these kids close in age and hopefully they'll be friends. Doesn't always work out that way, but hopefully. The best way to make kids bond together is you don't segregate them to have one-on-one time with them. You play games with all of them, and silly child games, things that they can all laugh and giggle at, and then they learn how to have fun together. You're facilitating that. Just got the #1 gift badger. Excellent. Thanks so much. I don't know what all those gift things mean. I keep looking it up and I can't find anywhere. I've even asked ChatGPT, what does all this mean? They haven't told me. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. But I don't know what it means. Like, there's no money on TikTok. So gift badges are like, I know someone said, oh, I'm sending you money. Well, I've never got any money on TikTok. But what it says is that people appreciate what I'm putting out there. And that's what's so great about TikTok, is it's so easy and people appreciate it. But there's no money in TikTok. I know someone said, oh, you must be making a fortune on here. No, I haven't made 1 cent on TikTok. Not that I know of. If there's some money in there. No, there isn't. Okay. It's not like YouTube. YouTube, you can make money on there. Okay, so C, you keep saying, I got to go back here. Okay, I don't know what you originally wrote. Okay. Yeah, I know. Gifts or money, you're definitely getting some money. Check your setting. I did. I had 11 cents after the 1-year mark, and I knew I got a whole bunch of gifts. Canada, TikTok doesn't pay. In the US, I think you can make money on TikTok, but in Canada, it doesn't pay. Definitely make money on TikTok. Yeah, you can, but like, I make money. This is sort of, people know who I am, then they go to my website. That's where I make the money. TikTok doesn't pay me anything. Book recommendations for becoming a better leader as a parent. I'm the only one. I invented this leadership parenting thing, so I don't know anyone else who teaches it, and I've never read a book on parenting. So why would I? I teach what I know, right? I'm sure you probably think I'm joking, but I'm not. What are you saying? Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I'm not complaining about no money on TikTok. Yeah, I couldn't find your original question, see? So maybe you could write the whole question out. I'm just saying that some people seem to think that there's a lot of money on TikTok. If you're in Canada, there's none. Book recommendations in general. I have never read a book on kids or parenting ever once. I'm kid taught. Kids taught me everything. So I've never, ever read anything on kids or parents or anything. Years and years ago, I started to read something and I thought, what a bunch of crap. I just thought it was garbage. Tossed it. That was a long time ago. It was so patronizing towards the kids. I hated it. I remember that was probably 30, 40 years ago. Advertising here. So yeah, no, I know you can make money through advertising, but what I mean is just getting views doesn't pay. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just not into all that. I just, TikTok to me is just I'm putting it out there. Just, I want to spread the word. I believe so strongly in what I do. I'm happy to spend all this time, free time doing this because I really I really believe in what I teach, and I know I'm helping parents. So that's why I'm on here. Oh, good one. My daughter didn't like giving her favorite toys for hurting her brother. Thanks for the advice. That's one of those punishment fits the crime. So it has to be an older sibling. If an older sibling hits a younger sibling, they have to give their favorite toy to that younger sibling for an hour, a day, whatever, as a punishment. And boy, they do not like that. So you hurt them. Now you got to do something nice for them. You see? That one is one of the most popular and successful methods that I hear about the most often. Ignoring tantrums is number 1 for sure, the most successful one. And then that toy sharing, it's a really easy one. It's not always doable. Have you ever gone through a time when you were mentally not at your best? How did you stay fun and consistent in your parenting? Well, I wasn't always maybe as much fun. I did go through some tough times. Through my parenting, I had back surgery, heart surgery, and then I got divorced. Those were 3 really big things in parenting. Overall, the kids were my biggest joy in life. So they were my sanctuary. They were my joy because they were so easy and they were my joy. So, but no one's perfect. Yeah, they saw me down, but I never tried to lose it in front of my kids no matter what I was going through. But yeah, we're all going to show weaknesses sometimes. But yeah, they were my joy because they were so easy. So they were my meditation, my medicine, my. Oh, and I was always consistent, 100%. This discipline stuff was I never even thought about it. It just 100% consistent. Okay, I take your advice and implement it every day. And wow, parenting a 2-year-old is getting easier. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's why I keep doing this. I have bad days in my business, where things get me down. By the way, none of the comments on here do that to me. But just if I'm working with a client and I'm struggling because they're just getting their own way. The biggest challenge I have in coaching is mom guilt. It's my biggest consistent challenge. I deal with crisis work too. That's easier for me to work through than mom guilt. Isn't that funny? Who would think that, eh? It's probably the most consistent challenge in my business is I can't get them to do what they need to do because they're so ridden with guilt over mistakes they've made. I always say when you're finished working with me, if you still have the mom guilt, then at the end of the last session, we'll discuss it, and they never want to. Because once they've moved on to better stuff, they don't want to go back. I always say, quit going backwards, go forward. Does your techniques apply to kids with ADD and NPD? Yes, it does. That's where I learned all this stuff. I never learned it with easy kids. I never learned it with my own kids. I learned it with all the kids. And this is how people would hand me a kid to work with, a teenager, a toddler, whatever. Good luck with this one, Lisa. No one ever said, here's an easy one, Lisa. They all were alphabet kids. They all had acronyms after their name. ADHD, WXYZ, they all had that after their name. And because it's just bonding with them. It's leadership to me is just bonding with them, bringing out the best in them. So that's all it is. When they like themselves when they're with you, they naturally want to please you. When they're teenagers, they just don't want to disappoint you. And they talk to you. You're a safe place to land. They all tell you everything. Have you always been consistent, disciplined? Step one for parents, learning to be more. Yeah, I was. Only because I had so much experience with kids. I've made mistakes, but overall, I was pretty consistent and disciplined with kids, like myself, because I had so much experience with kids before I had my own. I always say, no one ever laughs at this. I think it's funny. But I always say I left a trail of destruction behind me learning how to do all this with other people's kids. So by the time I had my own, it was easy street. So, anyway, I think that's funny. But anyway, so I had a lot of experience. And I knew what to do. Like when you know what to do, it's easy to do. It's when you're not sure of what you're doing, then it's hard to do. But it's like anything. Oh, I know exactly how to do that. You do it, right? It's easy. It's easy. Okay, thanks for nothing. It's funny. I get kids on here, so okay. Ooh, I'm a child and youth worker. You're a child and a youth worker? The mom guilt. I'm a child and youth worker. Can you be a youth worker when you're a child? The mom guilt I have for not being the mom, imagine I'd be as hard. I don't understand that I'm a child and youth worker. By the way, I've been hired by a huge percentage of my clients are teachers, social workers, school counselors, principals, and child psychologists. But I've never been hired by a youth worker because I always say if you can get respect from a troubled teenager, you don't need my help. That's what I used to mentor troubled teens. They're your PhD and all this stuff. When you know how to be vulnerable and still get respect and bring out the best in a troubled teen, you know you're there. So youth workers rarely ever hire. I've never been hired by one that I know of. But if you're a child, I don't understand your question actually. The emotional connection changes everything. Absolutely, because you're a safe place to land. And when you're a safe place to land, they like themselves when they're with you. They feel good about themselves when they're with you. They want to please you. It's just the way it is. You don't have to discipline. I never disciplined. My kids were self-disciplining. Literally, it just didn't have to happen. Once they're about 3.5 years old, 4, it just kind of stopped. Because I was so consistent, they knew, and they liked their life when they were. I always just say to my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of that because that's my job. I'm your mom. So, they'd kind of laugh at that. But I always used to say stuff like that. Like, life's up to you. It's all your choice. You make good choices. Life's great. You make a bad choice. I'm here to correct it. I'm here. You see where I'm going with this? It's all up to them. They learn that. They can learn that from a really young age. It's all about them. I worked with troubled youth, but struggled with emotional regulation while sleep deprived. Oh, so on your own, oh, okay. So yeah, you're dealing with your own stuff. So yeah, that comes up a lot in coaching. Is a lot of it is I'm not a counselor or a therapist in any way. I have zero training in anything. Not, I just work with kids, and that's how I did all this. But yeah, huge. And this is what my clients always say: you're not a therapist. No, you're not. But they'll say a lot of what you do is therapy. So because we do have to deal with a lot of their own issues. And that's a big part of it. But I'm no therapist. I don't know. I'm old and I've got some wisdom, and experience with all this stuff. But yeah, I'm not a therapist. But a huge part of my coaching is discussing your problems because it's all you. Actually, that's all it is. Never the kids. We're never fixing kids. We're teaching parenting here. So now imagine what I have to go through. It's like you get a garden full of weeds. Before we can plow the field and plant some seeds, we have to do a lot of weeding first. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of stuff we have to take out first. A lot of it is that. A lot of coaching is that. Wisdom is more valuable than therapy, in my opinion. Yeah, it's wisdom is, I don't know how to explain it, but I thought I had it before, but now that I'm in my 60s, about my late 50s, as I was coming out of menopause, I started to feel a shift. I started to feel, oh, I get it. Wisdom is just experienced and mixed with calmness. Like you just get, I got really calm after menopause or even during menopause. Um, yeah, wisdom's weird. It's not something you can rush. You got to get old. You got to get the wrinkles to go with it. The wrinkles and all the sags, then they give you some wisdom. It's like the payoff for all the wrinkles and sags. Love the weeding analogy. Yeah, I think I said that wrong. But yeah, you get the idea, right? Oh, there's so much of that. So much of that in coaching. Like if you buy the course on calm leadership, you're just going to get here's what you do to be a leader. But coaching is mostly not that. Coaching is a lot of, and another thing that I'm dealing with, and another thing I said, yeah, totally understandable. Here's what you do. So we work through a lot of stuff. Oh, that's so funny. Husband listening, and I told him she's a therapist, babe. And then you said I'm not a therapist. Absolutely not. I have no qualifications, none. I'm all experience based with kids. That's it. That's it. And I always say that. And yet I'm often hired by therapists, counselors, child psychologists, and they say, actually, you're just naturally like that. But they said, no, you're not trained, but you're naturally like that. So do you do group coaching? No, I do, but that course filled up. That was my group coaching course that filled up. So now the same course is available. I took out the group coaching so that it's still available. It just filled up. Yeah, so I do that, but right now, but it's filled up. So it's not available. But on my website, the exact same course, I just took out all the coaching and decreased it by $300. So I took out all the coaching. It's still the exact same course, just without the group coaching, which I loved, by the way. I'll figure out how to get that. It's just timing. I thought that when I offered that course with group coaching, I thought, great, that's what everyone's going to do. And I can just work in groups and you'll get to support one another. Most people who asked about that course still wanted private coaching, which was, it was interesting to me. I thought they'd want the group coaching because it's a lot less money. So I thought they'd want the group coaching in the course. But no, most people still opt for the one-on-one because it is a lot of counseling, even than therapy. No, I'm not a counselor or therapist. It is a lot of that. They want that one-on-one attention. And but you know what people find is when they're in the group coaching, everyone else feels the exact same way as you do. They're looking at it. You should see them looking at each other. They're all studying each other in the Zoom. And they're like, you look normal, and yet you're going, you know what I mean? Like everyone's going through the same stuff. You always think you're the only one. No, absolutely not. And then also they'll say, oh, I'm too embarrassed to tell you this. In coaching, they'll say this. And I go, let it fly. I've heard it all. And so then when they start opening up the floodgate, it just comes flying out. And they say, it's so cleansing just to let all this out. I'm not reacting. I hear it every day. We all think that our problems are unique and we're really messed up. We're all exactly the same. No one's got everything figured out in life. Nobody. You look at anybody out there in life, they've dropped some balls in their life. They may be really good at something, but they've dropped other balls in their life. You know what I mean? There's always something. None of us can do it all. None of us. So yeah. The other day I laugh a lot in coaching because I've heard it all before, and it's just lightening the mood anyway. So I was working with this one and they were telling me about this horrible thing that their child had done, and I'm laughing, and they say, "Why are you laughing?" And I said, "Because kids are funny. They're just funny." And then they started laughing too, and they said, it was a very funny thing that this kid had done, but the parent just couldn't see it that way. They said, "Is my child psychotic or something?" I said, "No, I hear this all the time. We all think there's something wrong with our kids when they do something psychotic, but they're just kids. They're just going to do stuff." It was really, I can't say what it was, but it was really cute. So the parents ended up laughing with me. Okay, any advice for 2-year-old who's always pinching and biting? I actually have a course on that on my website. It is called Toddlers Who Hit, Bite, Etc. And it's just a mini course. It's a niche course if you're interested. The way you handle it is consistent corrective actions. It is not about words. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. They're watching you. They are not listening to you at all. These mini therapy discussions, talking about everything, I can't stand them. Anyway, what's it called? I always forget the name of it. Toddlers, 1 to 3-year-old biting, hitting, etc. If you're interested in that, it's on my website, Bratbusters.com. So check that out if you're interested in that course. It goes into great detail, but it's consistent corrective action. Every single time they do that, you say no, then you remove a toy, remove yourself, remove them. It has to be consistent, though. They're going to remember the one time out of 100 you didn't do that. They only remember your mistakes. My kids, as my son was growing up, he said, "Remember the time you did that?" It's always the mistakes. He never says all the 5,000 million trillions of things I did right. It's always that one thing. "Remember that time you said that or did that, Mom?" "Yeah, I remember." "What about all the millions of things I did right?" But that didn't get a laugh, right? Like he always said that was funny. Well, he's expecting his first child now. I can't wait to watch that show. Both my kids have said they're going to try and parent the way I did, but we'll see. I won't be saying anything. I'll just be sitting back watching the show. Gosh, I know I took my kids' ears off. 764. They're not listening to you. You're better off using your ears instead of your mouth. I'll tell you why. My mom was the best listener in the world. She just was. But she never told me what to do. Never really gave me any advice. I was talking, and that next thing you know, I'm figuring it out by myself. She sort of just let me figure stuff out on my own. She was there. "Yes, sweetie, that sounds good. Yeah, I remember I did this or that." And she would add the odd thing in, but she never told me what to do. But she was really good at sort of guiding me along and me figuring stuff out. But it was more me talking. Boy, I talked her ear off. My brother talked her ear off too. So she was probably too good of a listener. Yeah, they're not listening to you, by the way. They're watching you. Congratulations on the child. Yeah, that'll be my first grandchild. So I have mixed feelings about it because this is a kid that I have to hand back. Like I'm not maternal anymore really because I've had so much of it and I've worked with hundreds of kids. So I think I've kind of used all that up. But I don't know. I just see myself holding this new thing and them saying, "Can we have our baby back?" And me going, "No." Like, can't imagine handing it back. Maybe I'll be happy to do it. I don't know. But yeah, I can't imagine because you're going to fall in love with it the second you see it. And then they're going to ask for it. Like, no, it's mine. Anyway, I probably won't be like that. Advice on toddler who likes to pick at finger, toenails, and hang nails and skin around fingernails. Yeah, look up stuff online for that. There's all sorts of creative ideas around that, which would be a lot better than my ideas. But yeah, there's not much you can do about that other than diversion. So certain things I've recommended with clients that have kids who do pick at things and pick their noses and all this is as they get older, you say, "Look, we want to stop that habit," and you give them something to do instead. There's all sorts of, if you just go on Amazon, there's all sorts of like those poppers and stuff because they're fidgety. So get them something else to fidget with. You can't just say, "Stop doing that." What you do is you say, "Here, do this instead." We're not always, parents just want to teach their kids what not to do, but really you want to teach them what to do. So you want to offer them solutions. So you're not just saying, "Stop biting your nails." You're saying, "Here, do this instead." So give them something else to do. That's what I recommend with my clients. But all the different things you can get out there, you're going to have to do some research because there's always people coming up with different little fidget toys and all that. I can't keep up on all that. Okay. Advice on how much responsibility a 15-year-old should have, like getting themselves up for practice. I can't answer that because I don't know your relationship with your 15-year-old. I don't know how much to give you. Like if I was coaching you, I'd assess the situation, then I would tell you what you should give them for. You see, I can't. I don't know. I don't know your situation. Do they get enough sleep? Do they have screens in their room at night? Like, are they up all night watching something? I don't know how you manage it. Like, if they're not getting themselves up in the morning, do they have screens in their bedroom? Like, I never allowed that. My kids didn't have screens in their bedroom. Yeah, I can't answer that about the daycare. I don't know what's happened there. So, advice on kids coming back from their dad's house and not listening. He's almost 4. Again, I don't know what's going on there. I'd have to. Sometimes I can't answer till I ask a lot of questions, so I have to assess that situation. I don't know what's going on at dad's. There are tells though. Um, you can do. I don't even want to get into this because it's a bit involved. But yeah, there's ways of finding out what's going on at dad's house if that's your concern, or if it's just you're not a leader. They always listen if you're a leader. They just do. They're naturally drawn to the leader because you're not the authority and you're not the pleaser. Those are opposing parenting styles. The old-fashioned way was the authority. My way or the highway. I'm your parent. You do what I say because you're my kid. That's the old-fashioned authority. You're better off airing that on that side than the pleaser. The pleaser parent is I'm going to try to make everything easy for you, validate every single one of your thoughts and feelings, pave the road for you so that you'll grow up into a self-entitled little snowflake who has mental health issues. That's what's trending right now. It drives me insane. I just because I'm up against that every single day, it's driving me insane. I know where it goes. I know where you're headed. If you're the pleaser parent, I know where you're going. I know where it's going. No screens, but phone, yes, because of alarm. Well, a phone is a screen. But yeah, the phone can be outside their bedroom. The alarm going, the door open, put it, yeah. I don't know. I'd have to figure that out. You'd have to negotiate with your teenager too on how that's done. No, I won't tell you. There's all sorts of ways around that, but I won't get into it. You nailed the snowflake comment. Yeah, I'm very opinionated on this. I've been doing this for so many years. 30 years ago, I saw this pleaser parenting style coming in fashion, and it's all for the moms. It's all like makes her feel good. It's not for the kids at all. And what happens? It backfires. The authority parent builds resentment in the teen years, and the kids will talk back. But that's still better than the pleaser parent. Those teenagers are going to wipe their feet all over you, and when they're teenagers. And yeah, their mental health was my main concern. 30 years ago, I said, "Oh my God, what's going to happen to the mental health? They're so weak. They're so weak. You didn't validate all my feelings. I'm just the bus driver lady. Like they're just so self-entitled and weak and snowflakes and you know." Oh, I got to watch what I say about that. I almost started talking about something that's really controversial right now, but yeah, it's all feeding that snowflake stuff. And come on, toughen them up, prepare them for the real world. I never tried to make things easy for my kids. Like if they got a bad teacher, I'm like, good practice for when you get a bad boss down the road. I know, that, I mean, I was very, like, I made sure their home life was wonderful, but out in the world, I wanted them to have some tough times. When they were 15, I made them get part-time jobs and I just crossed my fingers. Please let them have to unclog a public toilet at least once. And they both did. So, I wanted them to learn how to work. They're both super hard workers. And I didn't try and roll out the red carpet in life for them because it's not good for them. Yeah, I can't talk about ex-husband, different homes on TikTok because I have to assess the situation before I can give you any advice. There's too much going on. If you want my help with that, you'd have to hire me one-on-one coaching to discuss it. I would assess it, then we try certain different things. But yeah, Practical step for please your parent to pivot, my behavior board or my course, Calm Leadership course, or you can hire me. I'll teach you how to change it. You can pivot it very quickly, very, very quickly, but you do it one step at a time. So pick a rule each week and go with that. Yeah. The course is 3 behavior boards in 3 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, you'll have 3 of them up. Then you go into in the moment discipline. Week 4 and 5 are in the moment discipline, and teaches you how to do that. What was the 3 red type? Authority, pleaser. Oh, the leader. I'm the leader. The Calm Leadership Parenting. I just call it leadership. You know what it's most like? The authority figure is most like the teacher is more likely to be the authority. The teacher, the policeman, that's the authority. They're in charge their way, which is what it should be for those roles. Okay, they should be the authority. The pleaser is trying to be liked. Now, the leader, you want to be a friend, but you want your kids to like you. If you're a pleaser parent, it's very important to you that your kids like you. I could have cared less if my kids liked me. I was their mom. My job is to raise good kids with high self-esteem and confident. That's my job. So the pleaser parent wants to please so that the kids will like them. That's discussing every single feeling, validating everything. You're wonderful. You're special. That teacher was mean. We'll find another class for you. It's along those lines. And that one is by far the weakest parenting style I've ever seen. And it's super trendy right now. And I know exactly where that's headed. And the authority, if you're going to err on either side, the authority, they raise stronger individuals. And the leader, that's the one, it's most like a sports coach. It's more, you're fun, but you have rules. You discipline quickly, but you don't drone on about it. Oh, hey, I saw you try and cheat out there in the field. Come on, sit on the bench for an inning. And then when they come back off the bench, oh, come on, okay, you can do it. So and the kids are drawn to you. They want to please you. They want to please the leader. That's where your power is making them feel good about themselves. The pleaser parent, both the authority and the pleaser, both tend to be yellers, which most people don't realize that. The authority tends to yell a lot less than the pleaser parent. The pleaser parent's trying so hard to be politically correct and validating all their feelings, and yet they're the most likely to yell at their kids because they just lose. The pleaser parent style doesn't work, and they just completely lose it, and then they yell. So anyway, I've been studying this forever, and it's frustrating me. I don't know why it's so popular because it doesn't work. I think it's coming out of popularity now. I do. I see a shift. Definitely. Do you know when I first came out, started talking like this 17 years ago, I was attacked like big, and I still am. My competition comes after me all the time. And they're sure not trying to please me. That's fine with me. But yeah, they used to be a lot more vicious and a lot more. It was just totally against me. Everything I said, they were totally against everything I said. Because it was at the height, it was just coming in. Now the kids that they have are growing up and they've seen the damage that's been done. So yeah. Perfect comment is exactly what I was getting at. I was raised by the authority style and hated it as a kid, but I'm glad as an adult that you had it. Absolutely. Are you talking about gentle parent? Oh, I'm not labeling it. And that I don't know anything about that. I completely stay out of that. I don't know what's labeled on what. I'm very careful about that. So if I'm criticizing something, I'm not criticizing any movement in particular. It's a complete style, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of styles out there that are under that please your parent, okay? Yeah, there we go. I don't want to be a please your parent. Now my kids are older and it's backfiring. What is emotion? Oh, such a good question. Just a sec. What does emotional validation look like? Authority versus pleaser versus pleaser versus leader. So what does emotional validation look like? Authority, pleaser, leader. When you're a leader, your children tend to like themselves. There's the emotional validation right there. You bring out the best in them. That's the best emotional validation anyone can get in this whole world. If you're around someone who makes you feel great about yourself, don't you feel validated? Aren't your emotions just level and happy? And you see, it happens organically. You don't have to discuss it all. It's all these mini therapy sessions that are just garbage. When you bring out the best in your kid and you focus on the good kid, but deal with the bad behavior when necessary, but all your focus goes on the good kid, bringing out the best in them, making them like themselves, it's gold. Emotional validation right there. Right there. I'm going to write that down. Emotional validation, authority versus pleaser. It's organic. All these mini therapy sessions. It comes from fear and weakness, this style. Comes from... And don't ask me about the gentle parenting again, because what I mean by that is that I honestly, I don't know. I could not give you a bullet list of what it is. I couldn't. I've never read about it. I never look at what anyone else is doing. I know my competition is out there because my clients tell me. They tell me what my competition is saying about me. So, and they hate me. I don't know why they hate me. I don't hate them. I mean, I don't know anything about them. But they're looking at me. I don't know why. Why would they look at me? Am I that big of a threat? Hopefully, because I want to stop that. I really do. I don't know. I just want to stop the please your parenting trend right now. I just think it's so destructive. I think it's horrible. It's raising these really weak, mentally weak individuals. Yeah, I really want to say what I'm thinking, but I can't because I'll get in big trouble for it. There's something that's a movement out there right now, and it's all from this please your parent trend. And it's a big movement right now. I can't possibly say it. I'll be killed. Okay. Is it too late to ever reverse effects of yelling at your kids? Well, I don't know about reversing effects, but you can certainly improve your parenting. Like, can you reverse? I don't know. Like, I don't look at it that way. What I mean by that, you're going on the guilt there. I don't work on yesterday. I work on today and tomorrow. I'm very much a today, tomorrow kind of person. That's why I don't even ever look at photographs. I've got photographs on the wall just as a filler, but I don't like looking back. But yeah, don't worry about reversing. Just move forward in a positive way. It would be like if you lost money at the casino. That's gone. It's gone. Work on saving it today and not doing it again. And you know what I mean? Like, move forward. Don't worry about reversing it. Just move forward in a more positive way. Private Zoom call to talk about the please your parent topic. I can't. I couldn't even. I've never even voiced it. Oh, I do tell my daughter. We talk about it all the time. Yeah, I don't voice it. It's very controversial. But I saw it coming, not quite as strong as it's hit the society right now, but I saw it coming. And I said something to that effect years and years ago. I said, they could even go so far as to get like this. And this is exactly what's happened. I had no idea it was going to be so huge, though. I just thought it might just happen. Anyway, it's interesting. Okay, never mind. What are some good consequences for no yelling for the parents on the behavior board? If you look on there, it's almost always something like this. If you yell, you have to play with the kids doing whatever they want for 30 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. And it's always something on their level. You never go to the park and watch them swing. You have to swing with them. So have swinging contests, have hopping contests, play leapfrog. Anything they love, you hate, and they often ask you to do with them. You're doing something with them. Oh, sugar. Just a sec here. How do you go about tantrums in a store or public? Okay, if it's not disrupting where you are, then just let it happen. Wherever they lay, just let it happen while you file your nails. Okay, that's what I did. But if it was in a restaurant, I would never do that in a restaurant. You take them out to the parking lot or in the car or somewhere else and let them then drop them down. Not drop them on their head, but just put them down. Then you file your nails. But yeah, like, you got to be the same parent. I was the exact same mother everywhere I went. My kids knew that. There was no twinge of a difference in my parenting style, no matter where we were, who we were around. I was proud of how I parented. So no difference whatsoever. You don't want to be a different parent when you're out. How do you raise your kids to like themselves? Make them feel good about themselves. Do you enjoy them? Are they good kids? Are they making good choices? They know when they know when they have health. They just do. If they know if oh, because also when they're out in public, people keep telling them, God, you just got the easiest kids. You're so lucky. Everyone used to say this to me who didn't know me. You're so lucky you got the easiest kids in the world. And people who knew me, I put the work into that. Like, and they like themselves because of it, because they're always hearing out and they're completely being validated that they're nice. The outside world will tell them, "Oh, wonderful, you're so nice, you're so thoughtful. Oh, you look at this, a young guy getting up on a bus to let a woman sit down." Like the outside world will tell them all the time. The principals will tell them. I used to get letters, handwritten letters from the principal every year. If all the kids were like yours, school would be a complete joy. I mean, every single year. So it's the outside world will tell them. My son was in grade 2 and his teacher said, "Why are you so nice?" And he said, "Mommy makes us be nice." You're darn right I made them be nice. But he felt good about himself. You see? Like, you make me proud to be the parent I am. Excellent. And anyone can do this. This is a learnable skill. It's not a personality trait you're born with, although I do think I was born to do this for sure. I was mothering earthworms when I was a toddler. So I always had that maternal instinct. But I taught myself how to do all this. I was volunteering with kids. I was 11 years old and I was volunteering in daycare centers. I learned this. If I could learn this at 11, you can learn this. You're probably older than me, than I was, right? So I figured kids out when I was 11. And I became the in-demand babysitter. Parents would talk to each other and put in their calendar when I would, like, they'd book me in early. And they'd say, "Hey, we want to go out Saturday. Can you not go out till next week?" Literally, because if they had difficult kids, they wanted me to babysit because their kids loved me. They thought I was fun, but they were good for me. But the other babysitters would sit and watch TV. I was on the floor playing with the kids. I earned that 50 cents an hour. We used to get paid 50 cents an hour. After midnight, it was $1 an hour. Can you imagine? Like, it wasn't even minimum wage. It's awful. Okay. 3-year-olds starting to scream when they are mad or frustrated all of a sudden. How to deal. Okay. At 3 years old, they often find their power. But if you've been a calm leader up until then, it doesn't usually happen because they already know that you're in charge. But if you haven't been a calm leader, they just haven't found their power yet. All of a sudden, they're 3. That's when they can start to reason. They can start to manipulate. They can start to think things through. They can start to use things to get what they want. At 3, they get better at it. They just find their power. So make sure you're a leader. It just means you weren't a leader before, but they didn't know it. But you see what I mean? Like, so now they've just said, "Oh, wait a minute, there's no leader here. I think I'll do it." Um, so just work on your leadership skills. I have a course on that. If you're interested, it's on my website, bratbusters.com, or you can download my free behavior board. The behavior boards are coaching. It's about 10% of coaching, I would say, is the behavior boards. Um, So they're a really good teaching tool, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes around. The course covers, it's like the behavior board is free, and that you can try that on your own. Then there's coaching, which is about 10% of coaching is the behavior board. And then in the middle is the course. It's somewhere between those two. There's a lot more in the course than just the behavior board, but yeah. So those are the 3 different levels if you want my help. One's free, one and the other 2 aren't. Okay, Olivia says, "I just got an email about my son because he's the only kid that always says yes, ma'am." Doesn't that make you proud? Okay, 10-month-old who throws things, just pick it up and put it away where they can see it and divert their attention if they keep crying. But yeah, they're just trying things. They're just little. They just go through stages. Well, what do you do with an almost 3-year-old who ignores all directions? Well, their behavior is just you when they're 3 and over because they can start to reason. So their behavior is 100% just a reflection of your parenting. So remember, we're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. We're teaching you how to be a calm leader. Now, I've worked with hundreds of kids, toddlers up to teenagers. Do you think it was the kids that I worked with or me? Like if I got respect with all of them, which was it? Was it because I was a leader or they just happened to have special qualities that they respected? I just happened. You see what I mean? Like it's you. It's you. It's your leadership skills. So work on those. That's all I teach here. I teach parent-child relationships. That's all I teach. But I never fix kids. I use the kids I use the examples of what the kids do as my information on what you need to work on. That's all I'm thinking. I never think about the kids. Whenever I'm working with parents, they often they'll say at the very last session, "Do you know, I had no idea what you said was true, but it is. It has nothing to do with the kids." No, it's all you. It's all about you. Your relationship with your child is your responsibility, not theirs. As soon as you're a leader, you lead and they will follow. It's just the way it goes. It's just the way it goes. But yeah, all clients say that. They say, "Oh, it really wasn't about the kids, was it?" No, not at all. Not at all. It has nothing to do with them. It's all you. That's why I teach parenting, not kidding. I don't teach toddlers how to be toddlers or teenagers how to be teenagers. I teach you how to be a leader. Isn't that good news though? Because you can change you. You can only change yourself. So if it was the kids, boy, that would be difficult, wouldn't it? I don't even know how I'd do that. If it was the kids' fault that they were acting out, that would be, if I was to put the blame on the kids, that would be very difficult to deal with. But I never do. If ever I've been working with kids or teenagers and they do something bad, I always think, what did I miss here? What am I doing wrong here? I always look in a mirror, always, because how else could you work? How else could I have done that? I never looked at the kids. And whenever I'm out in public and I'll see kids acting out, I never look at the kids. I always look at the parents to see what they're doing. I don't do any TV anymore. I used to do a lot of local TV, so everyone knew who I was, or not everyone, but a lot of people knew who I was. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit and watch. Whereas now no one knows who I am in Vancouver. So I can sit and watch, and I just watch the parents. And they'll start fighting because the kids are acting out and everything. And I'm just watching them. I never offer any advice. That's my time off, right? And they wouldn't, how rude would I be? "Oh, by the way, you want some parenting advice?" But I'll just watch. It's never, ever about the kids. It's always about the parents. That's what a leader is. Like if I had a company and I had 100 staff and the company was failing, would I blame the staff? No, I would blame myself. I would think, what am I doing? I'm not leading them well enough. You see, like you're the leader here. What action do you take with what? To be a leader? You can start, there's 3 different levels you can do. If you want to go to my website, you can start with my free behavior board all by yourself, and that's free. Or you can buy my course, that's $197. It's got no coaching in it right now because that's all filled up. It's a 5-week course, teaches you how to be a calm leader over 5 weeks. Or if you want more one-on-one attention, you can hire me for coaching. That's level 3. So that's how you can be a calm leader. That's what I've got to offer you right now. And that course is if you have 3 to 12-year-olds. How do I get a 2-year-old to take a bath, change diapers? He just fights it. The bath is harder. I'd probably get them in a shower if they were really a stinker about it. But the diapers, I remember when our kids started getting squirmy when they were like toddlers. And my husband at the time, he'd be struggling. And I'd walk in the room generally and just elbow on the chest and change them like that. And they wouldn't even fight me because they knew. They just get to know. You just got to use your body language. And I'd say, "You're getting changed." And I would just put my arm across their chest. So they still were wiggling their bottom side, but I was fast. With their dad, they knew that he might actually let them up. "Okay, we'll just take a break for a second." Mom would never have done that. Never. There's no breaks. You're getting changed, and it's going to happen now. They knew when I said something, it was going to happen. So yeah, just be really quick and don't ever let them get up. Don't ever let them win in those situations. That elbow on the chest, I wasn't digging my elbow into them. I was just holding them down. How do you do back talking? I don't worry about it. That's attitude. I don't deal with attitude. That just says they don't respect you. That just says you got to work on your leadership skills. They back talk because they don't respect you. That means that's a tell. It means work on your leadership skills. They never have an attitude with a leader. They just don't. Right through the teen years, they might have some snotty moods going on, but that's when you got to walk away with teenagers. I have 4 that are between those ages. I just got the behavior boards. Excellent. Let me know how that goes. I've seen that name a lot, Brandy. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. When my 2-year-old's having tantrums, I ignore them, but my husband doesn't get to ignore tantrums. Doesn't want to. Anyway, you got to be on the same page with this stuff. You don't have to have the same parenting style, but you have to have the same rules. Like with tantrums, you have to say the rule is we ignore tantrums. Just pick that one thing to deal with for 1 week. I always say with my methods, a lot of parents are on different pages. When I'm hired by a couple, oftentimes this is what happens. I'll see them on Zoom and I'll see one parent like this and the other one like this. So it's like, gee, I wonder who wanted to hire me. So I say, look, you paid me good money. I said, you go with it for 3 weeks. Just get on board for 3 weeks. If it doesn't work, then just say she was crap and then just try something else. But you got to give it 3 weeks. So just have a deal where you say, okay, let's try my way for 3 weeks. If it doesn't work, then we'll do it your way. But you got to be on the same page. Okay. Child only talks back when dad is around. I'd have to assess the different parent. When we're discussing different parenting styles and what's going on, that's more of a marriage problem. Not a marriage problem, but a deficiency in your communication skills with your partner. That's more coaching. I have to work to get you both on the same page. That's something that happens all the time with coaching. Or sometimes I'll say, you know what? I don't want you on the behavior board. I want you out of this completely. And then what'll happen, I'll say, I'll just work with the wife or just the husband. So it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes if the other person's being really difficult, I'll just say that, look, just, you don't want to do it, don't do it. Okay. So then what'll happen is after a few weeks, the parent that's working with me will start getting respect. And when you start getting respect, you get closer to your kids. The other parent wants a part of that. So they usually get on board after that. What if my child hits me? What should I do? I think he has something wrong with him. They're hitting you because they don't respect you. You got to work on your leadership skills. That's all that is. My kid keeps bullying students of color. Oh, I don't know what to tell you with that. Yeah, if you've got differing parenting styles, I'd have to assess the situation. I'd have to find out, why are they different with you? What kind of parent are you? What kind of parent are you? Let's agree on this. And then we take one rule per week and we just focus on that. And usually you start to come together by about week 3. That's how that goes. But I can't answer that here. I don't know what your different parenting styles are. I'd have to assess the whole situation. So that's coaching. If you want my help, you have to hire me for that. Um, Behavior boards on bratbusters.com. That's where everything is. Okay, behavior board for adjusting specific behavior, not a long-term activity. The behavior board, I never used one. There's just a teaching tool. It teaches you how to start the leadership process. That's all it's there for. Once you figure it out, you don't need the behavior board anymore. So yeah, we get away from it. It's just a teaching tool. It teaches you. I started my business, I think 17 years ago. And the first year I didn't have a behavior board because I've never used one. But then I couldn't figure out why parents weren't getting the results I thought they should. I was throwing all this information at them. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm not pacing them out. I'm giving them everything all at once and they're like getting overwhelmed. Then I came up with the behavior board, one rule per week, and everything changed. I haven't changed that behavior board in 16 years. So it is not for long term, but it's teaching you how to do this. That's all. It's a teaching tool. So once you've learned how to get respect, you don't need the behavior board. That's what the course teaches you. There's 3 weeks of the behavior board, then 2 weeks of the in the moment discipline. So we're pulling away from the behavior board. But that's 5 weeks. You can pace yourself out. You might take 10 weeks to do it. But yeah, pace yourself out. Do it however you want. I suggest 5 weeks if you can. It is summertime. Some people go on holidays. It gets harder. Two-year-old keep in public, starts to scream over not getting what he wants, to ignore him in that situation. It depends. I would not ignore that in a restaurant. I would get them out of there. So yeah, I would definitely ignore the screaming. If it's tolerable and it's not disturbing people around you. Um, I got kids on here trolling. I know you want attention, but it's not helping anybody. Okay. What age can you start the behavior board? That starts at the age of 3, and it's if they're under 3, it's consistent corrective actions. It's in the moment, consistent corrective actions, because they only learn through repetition. They're not really thinking. They can't reason yet. They can't go, wait a minute, there's a rule and there's a consequence. Maybe I shouldn't break that rule. They can't do that yet. But under the age, they do something bad, you say no, and then you take the toy away or whatever, right in the moment. Got to be quick. And then you don't talk about it. It's these mini therapy sessions. They're just total waste of time. Got it. I just did the behavior board free course. Looks like I need the full thing. Yeah, you might want to go up to that. Some people are getting good results. Depends on where you are, right? And some people are getting good results just alone with that behavior board. That's why it's always been free. It always will be free, because a whole bunch of people are getting results. Coaching is 10% behavior board, and then we talk about how you make it work and then how you get off it. The course is somewhere in between the two. But it's not the one-on-one. If you need help with your marriage, or if you've got an autistic child, or if you've got abuse situations in the past or crisis work, that's all coaching, obviously. But that course kind of gives you all the information, but just without all the, the chatting, the one-on-one. What are some tips for consequences for bad behavior in public? I don't know what you mean by that. Just because public or private, what's the difference? I don't understand that at all. I don't know what you mean. So bad behavior is okay in private, but not in public? You're being inconsistent, you mean? Yeah, I don't do that. Bad behavior is bad behavior. I don't care where they are. Public, private. Is feeding a tantrum in public counterintuitive? Yeah, if you always want to be the same kind of parent. Like I was 100% predictable. That's why my kids never asked me for anything if they knew the answer would be no. And they always knew if the answer would be no. They just would never, because they knew I was 100% predictable. They knew exactly what I was going to say at any given time. Like if they'd asked me something ridiculous, my mother would have done this. Would have been the exact same reaction. Like, are you kidding me with this? Like, no. Why would you even ask me that? They would have been embarrassed. Why would you even ask me that? So yeah, you don't have different personalities. Like I'm the same. If you see me here or see me in my private life, a bit looser with people I'm really close to, but you know what I'm saying. It's more personal. But I'm the same personality everywhere I go. I was the same mother everywhere I went. I just hit 10,000 steps sitting here. How did I do that? It just went to 10,000. I usually get 15 to 20,000, but I just hit 10,000. So I still have to get out there. How did I hit 10,000 steps just sitting still? That's 10,003. There you go. Consistency's been my downfall. You know why? Because you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed that you're going to be judged when you're out in public. I was proud of how I dealt with my kids. I was happy to show it off. Like, look how I'm dealing with this tantrum, filing my nails. That story I often tell, my son had one of his very last tantrums. He was 3 years old. We were at the mall. It was very busy and loud, so I let him have the tantrum in the mall, pulled him off to the side and started filing my nails. All these young moms were coming up to me. It was a bit of a scene, so people were stopping, and I'm very friendly. I was smiling at people. So these young moms, oh, you should talk about his feelings. And, oh, God, give me a break. Keep going, keep going. I didn't know what they were talking about. But the grandparents and the mothers with older kids kept coming up to me. You know what you're doing. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So I was proud of it. So, yeah, own it. Whenever I see a mother out with a kid who's having a tantrum and she's struggling, I always go up to her and I always do this. I always go up to her and say, been there. And then they go, oh, thank you. I always feel like I'm the only one. Just support a mom. Support her if she's out in public and struggling. Been there. Kids are kids. Ha, ha, ha. I got these dogs out in the hallway that bark. And anyway, won't go on about it. They're really nice people, but happy dogs in the hallway. Okay, so if you're in a restaurant and they throw a tantrum, if they're getting loud, I would take them out in the parking lot and let them sit there and have a tantrum while I file my nails or look at the sky or whatever. Don't look at your phone and don't talk to someone. That's dismissive. I consider that rude. So yeah, you're just looking around waiting. You're just waiting. You want them to see you calmly waiting. You want if you're looking at your phone, it doesn't look like you even know they're there. It's dismissive and rude. But if you're just like every so often, you might look down like this, like don't get eye contact, but you might just let them know you're just waiting. You're exhibiting calm behavior. You're exhibiting what you want from them. I could never do that. Once you get good at it, because it works. It works. I get people all the time telling me, hard to do at first, especially because they know that they're used to getting your attention. But yeah, it just works. But yeah, I was proud of that. I remember once years and years ago, obviously, it's my son's 33 now, and he would have been about 2. And I just picked him up from the gym daycare. He didn't want to go. He loved gym daycare. He used to cry on the weekends because I went to the gym without him because it was closed. The gym daycare wasn't open, and I worked out every day, right? Anyway, so I picked him up this one day. He threw himself on the ground, had a massive tantrum. Well, it was a very loud gym at the time, and he wasn't having a real loud tantrum, but he was laying on the carpet. And these older women, I hate it when they do this. Come on, sweetie, are you okay? They just make it worse, right? And then they said, oh, well, his mother's not around. He looks scared. No, got him. And then they said, yeah, his mother's right there. It's the one ignoring him. So, yeah, but with all this attention around him, he ended up getting embarrassed and he stood up and just followed me out the door. It was funny. Yeah, his mother's right over there. That's the one ignoring him. I was proud of it. I knew what I was doing. Yeah, you never want to reward the crazy. You reward the calm. As soon as they're calm, you say, "Oh, you all done? Okay, let's go." That's it. You reward the calm, not the crazy. Any attention is reward. I really try to stay calm, but I can feel my blood pressure rise during a tantrum. Yeah, the thing is that they'll have less of them if you get good at it. And initially, it will be worse because they know the old you is going to give in. If they know that you used to give them attention, they're going to say, oh, I remember the old you. I'm going to up it. They usually get worse before they get better. If you have a history of not being a leader, it usually gets worse before it gets better, almost always. And I always want that. Sometimes I'll get clients, and I always try and push my clients so that the kids get worse, because that's where all the lessons are, right? It's when the kids get worse because they're fighting to get the old you back. And we're getting rid of the old you. We're building a new you. So we want it to be a big symbolic change. Anyway, sometimes I'll get parents and they say, yeah, that first week was a piece of cake. And I'm like, oh, I failed you. Where's the scene? But anyway, so you want the scenes. They're a sign of change. Oh, if they're getting violent during a tantrum, that you just restrain them. Lots of them do that. It's part of it. Yeah, just restrain them. Don't look at them or talk to them, though. You still ignore them, but you restrain them. So you're stopping them from hurting themselves, hurting others, or damaging property. Sorry, I just had to check my messages. I've got a client who's waiting to hear from. Okay. Should I keep ignoring eye rolling from a 2-year-old? It's when someone tells her to do so. Eye rolling with a 2-year-old. Why would you give that any attention? There's no way wouldn't bother me at all. Like they only do it to get attention. If it never gets attention, they'll just stop doing it. Like I just ignore attitude. Attitude is something, it's just a byproduct of their lack of respect for you. Or if they're 2, they're just testing it out. They're going to find out it's not working. They're just going to go on to something else. And by the way, if they're 2 and they're doing that, that's learned behavior. Do you eye roll? Like it's learned behavior at 2 years old. They don't come out of the womb doing this. They've seen it somewhere. So check yourself too. Oftentimes they're mimicking you. And parents will say to me, yeah, but I'm the parent. And I'm like, right. They're mimicking you though. Like that is, you've got to lead. You lead. You want them to follow your lead. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm going to make this my very last question. If you go on my website, it's bratbusters.com. You can get my behavior board, buy one of my courses, or hire me for coaching on bratbusters.com. This question is a good one. It's a long answer, and I'm going to turn it into something that you probably didn't think I would, but I'm going to, because it's such a good answer. And it's one that a lot of parents struggle with in coaching. We do role playing so that they learn how to do this. It's about body language, okay? So your question, Samantha, is what do you do with a kid that continues to ask for something after you said no? Let's say the kid is 7, okay? So this is what I would do. He says, "Can I please play with my PlayStation or play PlayStation?" I said, "No, you've already had enough time on the PlayStation today, so that's a no." So he keeps at me, "Not fair, not fair," and I would say something like this. I would say something like, "I'll tell you what. If you keep at me, we'll do a 24-hour media blackout. Do you understand?" So, and then I might say, "So what are you going to do?" And then he keeps at, and then he may be like this, but if he's not used to you, he might keep at you. Like my kids would have gone, whoops, that's it, because they knew, right? So if he keeps at you, then you do this really quickly. So he keeps at you and say, that was your choice. 24-hour media blackout starts right now. Do you understand? No, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? And make it happen. Just, and then say, I'm not discussing it any further. The end. Do not discuss it. The end. You see how you've just really calm. Business transaction. There's no emotions. A few words. You're very quiet. You're very slow when you talk. It's very quiet. So yeah. Does that make sense? My kid has a crippling video game. So yeah, a lot of boys do, especially. Anyway, I'll get into that another time because I often discuss that one on here. Anyway, but you see the body language? They keep at you after you've said no. If you keep at me, we'll do 24-hour media blackout. Okay, what are you going to do? And then, so you get that eye contact real slow. And then if they're quiet, you just disengage and go about your normal day. But that's not fair. I hate you. I hate you. 24-hour media blackout starts now. That was your choice. You see the body language? Boy, it's going to be hell to pay for that one, but it's worth it. You got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. You got to be willing to exercise your leadership at that level, right? It's going to get ugly, but it's worth it. It's only ugly in the short term because you've trained them to keep at you. My kids would never have done that because they would have known I knew how to take care of business. They would never have talked to me like that. If I said no, they would never have ever pushed because they knew that no would last a lot longer. Like if it was no TV tonight, they knew it would have been no TV for 2 nights then. You see? See what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you got to be consistent. And anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow.